When I was 11 years old, I was on vacation with my family to our native country. We lived in a small village, and I liked it very much. I was always looking forward to vacation so that I can play with all my friends and family. So one day I was watching football with my two older cousins. It was getting really dark now, so we stayed inside. I did not like the match, so I told him let's go to my grandpa's house. He insisted that he wanted to watch the game, so I just went outside the door and sat in a chair that we had in the front of our house. It was really dark, but the moon gave off a little bit of light, so I could see a little. I was looking forward, and then I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye to my left. I look at that direction, and I swear I see a person walking to my grandpa's house. But the only thing was, I did not see a face or eyes, just complete blackness. It had the shape of a man, but complete black. I froze, and I was just staring at it walking by. Then he stopped and looked directly at me, and kept looking at me. I was looking at him, and he was looking at me. This went on for almost 10 seconds, and then he started walking over to me. I was back in the house almost in 2 seconds. I sprinted to the room my cousins were watching the match and told them. They did not believe me, but went out with me to look for this ghost. He was gone, but I remember to this day that I had 100% a stare down with a ghost. I was 12 years old, and I was on vacation to my native country. I was in my village where my father built a house close to my family. I was enjoying my time there, and there was a marriage in the village. There were a lot of people and also a lot of friends to play with. As a kid, that was the only thing I was interested in. Good old times, man. But anyway, the day after the marriage, I was going to visit one of my cousins who lived a 1-minute walk away from my house. As I got there, his brother was there with a friend of his who was invited to the wedding the day before. I did not know him, nor have I seen him before. I was asking them, and his little brother will come back, etc. And he told me that he had to go shopping and just left. I waited there with him, and then the brother of my cousin left, and I was only there with the man. He kept looking at me and asking me questions. Nothing personal, but just really bullshit questions. Then he came close to me and grabbed my arm. I was looking at him with confusion, but did nothing. Actually, I could not do anything. This man was like 33 years old and I was 12. Then he grabbed my arm and dragged me to a room. At this point, I was afraid. He locked the door and put me in the corner of the room. At this point, I was looking for something to defend myself with, but could not find anything. He went to the small bed that was in the room and started to make it comfortable. I was almost realizing what he wanted, and this made my stomach turn upside down. I was just standing in the corner looking at this freak, and I was helpless. He would catch me if I wanted to run, and the door was also locked. He then was walking towards me, and I tried to run. He had me cornered in the room, and I was just crouching in the corner and screamed as loud as I can. He shouted, "Shut up!" But I was even screaming louder and louder now. He ran away and locked himself in the room next to the room where we were in. I realized this and went directly away from the room to the front door. But it was also locked and the key was on the shelf next to the door, but too high for me to grab. Now I had to make a plan B. Only thing to do was jump out the window, but the window was only in the room where he was. Fuck, told myself, now with a plan C. I was rapidly thinking how the hell I was going to escape this house. Then I remembered that there is a stairway to the roof of the house. I went to the door and it had this small little metal click that you have to slide to open the door. The thing was fucking rusty as hell. At this point, I was starting to lose hope and let out another scream to keep him in that room. Then I heard somebody from the roof calling me. It was as if God himself spoke to me. I was so happy. I finally got the door open and run into one of my uncles and told him everything. He then told me where this guy was, and I led him back to the house, this time with backup. Literally, in 5 minutes, I was scared to death. Now I am walking with so much confidence toward this punk. I pointed to the door, and my uncle opens the door, and there he was. My uncle told me to leave the house and go back home. So I did, and later that day my uncle came to me and told me to go with him. He just sat behind my house and told me in private that the man will never ever bother me again. He also told me that I did a great job in screaming and fled out of the house. And I really never ever did see that man again. I just wondered what my uncle did to him. Actually, I don't even want to know. But he sure as hell deserved it, whatever it was.